Marino, Sims, Esiason, and we had this great crop of
Schrader.
Upper yes, okay, Neil, drugs are bad. Upper echelon quarterbacks, and we were always looking for the next crop of guys, and it really didn't show up until we got Drew Bledsoe, but that was pretty much the 90s, and even when it was Drew Bledsoe, it's kind of like Drew Bledsoe and the rest of those guys from the 80s who lingered into the 90s until Brett Favre came around.
Mm-hmm.
So some of these guys tend to linger around longer than we expect them to, and we kind of are waiting for that next crop of guys because we always want that 4, 5, 6 quarterbacks to say who's the best quarterback of this generation. And we had it in the 80s. It kind of fizzled in the 90s until it picked back up again, and now we had it again when, up until Manning retired, we had probably another 4 or 5 then as well.
So it's James, you get points for invoking the name of the greatest Patriots quarterback of all time. Very proud.
You're welcome.
Enough about luck. If we continue, we could probably do an entire show on luck, but there is a team that they are playing. It is the Cincinnati Bengals. Dugan actually wrote in, Dugan out of nowhere. He says that new head coach, Zach Taylor, already announced the deep roster star Damian Willis, an undrafted free agent out of Troy, not only made the team, but will be a week 1 starter in place of A.J. Green, who is still injured. That is pretty impressive. The biggest question before preseason is, would this coaching staff be different than the old Marvin Lewis staff? Zach Taylor demonstrated it was an open competition. Rookies got a shot. After week 3, he announced the starting offense that includes Damian Willis, the 4th-round Ohio State rookie Michael Jordan at left guard, 4th-year undrafted free agent Trey Hopkins at center, and benching last year's first-rounder Billy Price. So there is definitely a new regime in Cincinnati. I just don't think it's going to make a difference this year.
Still last place in the North.
Yeah.
Next game, 7:00 kickoff at MetLife Stadium, East Rutherford, New Jersey. It is the Philadelphia Eagles at the New York Jets. Neil, why don't you tell us what the Eagles? No, James, tell us all about the Eagles.
So, unfortunately, I had to be a little difficult here because there are 2 guys who I've liked so far in preseason, both on offense, running back Josh Adams and wide receiver Carlton Agudosi. They'll be the deep roster cuts. Neither has a chance to make the squad unless the Eagles decide to keep 6 wide receivers. Agudosi has the best chance. Adams is a good bruising back, but he has problems holding onto the ball because he fumbles a little too much for my liking. And Agudosi, final word on him, he can make the spectacular catch look routine, but makes a routine look troublesome. And that's probably going to be why he doesn't make
I will just tell you, it's fake football, but Madden in career mode puts Josh Adams on the practice squad every single time, and every single time I steal him for my team.
As well, you probably should. Biggest question going into this preseason for the Eagles is the blatantly obvious, the health of Carson Wentz. Did we find an answer to that question? No. I don't like our backup quarterback situation any way, shape, or form. There's one quarterback who I really don't even want to mention his name because he's got a 20-year career and played for 7 freaking teams, and there's no reason he should have even lasted that long. But between Sudfeld and Kessler, when these guys are healthy, I am beyond worried because Sudfeld should know this offense, and he struggled mightily in this preseason, and Kessler's pretty much shown he doesn't belong in an NFL uniform. So here's praying that Carson Wentz lasts all 16 games because we don't have a viable backup should anything happen to him.
Yeah, you have Josh McCown.
I'm sorry. I'm going to need you to not curse on this podcast. We are family friendly here.
Neil, I'm going to go to you since the Jets seem to be your boyfriends. NFL.com and Bleacher Report have said that the next phase of the Jets turnaround has been marked by the acquisition of big money free agent Le'Veon Bell, whom we have not seen in the preseason, CJ Mosley, the linebacker, and the installation of new head coach Adam Gase. Will this move the Jets forward? And Bleacher Report added, is there enough depth at wide receiver? I still don't see a number 1 wide receiver in that wide receiving crew for Sam Darnold to throw to.
Yeah. Personally, I don't care about the wide receiver group. I'm more concerned. If I was a Jets fan, I'd be more concerned with the offensive line. I'm not sure their offensive line will hold up. And, I guess the key, I mean, you guys will agree, I'm sure the key is going to be to get Le'Veon Bell going, get him running, get him catching passes, those short passes from Darnold. That's going to be the key thing. But any quarterback needs time. They brought in Osemele, who used to be one of the premier guards in the NFL, not anymore, and he's starting at left guard for them. And they've got kind of recycled guys. They've got Beachum, Osemele. Didn't they bring back one of the good Khalil brother to play at center? But he retired, hadn't he? I mean, he's pretty much done.
He did.
So I'm worried, Jay. I'm worried for the offensive line. Otherwise, I think the Jets can compete. I think the defense will be underrated. I love the safeties they've got there, and then of course they brought in Quinn and Williams to give them the NFL's second Williams wall. This one hopefully not drug induced, but it will be I don't know, Jets. If you want one team who's going to go 8-8, I'd put the Jets in there at 8-8.
Hey, listen, as long as he doesn't hang out with Patrick Chung at his lake house in New Hampshire, I think he'll be all right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
guys,
let it snow, let it snow.
Here's a question for both of you. What does it say when Le'Veon Bell comes out and says that he would like to get hit in practice? Because apparently he's not getting many reps in practice either. And he's not taking any contact in practice.
I don't care.
I think
I wouldn't. Yeah.
Sometimes I think coaches try and put their players in too much bubble wrap to protect them going into the season, and ultimately they end up getting screwed. Like the second carry out of the gate, and all of a sudden they've pulled a hammy, or they just took they took a hit that they just weren't ready to take, brings their bell, or I don't want to say it gets them a concussion, but you know what I mean. It's just like they just weren't ready. They just weren't ready for it. Their body just wasn't mentally prepared to take the pounding that they're about to receive for 16 more games.
I mean, you guys will know what it's like if you play any sport at all. You can be as fit as you want in terms of just physically being fit, but if you haven't actually played your sport of choice, you don't get match fit. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah. Total.
Yeah.
All right. The game that we're going to be able to watch nationally, if you wanted to, the Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte on the NFL Network, 7:00 kickoff. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Carolina Panthers. Neil, why don't you let us know what Greg wrote? Because I feel like you can provide the right amount of sarcasm that I believe Greg would appreciate as he wrote this.
Yeah, Greg's got sarcasm oozing from every pore, Jay. Steelers preseason finale versus Carolina. It will happen and no one will watch. We are focused on those Gronkless babies in the Northeast. Who gives a flying fig about the 75th best player? Cam Kelly, one of Greg's favorites, has made the roster. Once an AAF, remember them guys, the AAF? Once an AAF long shot, now a great backup safety or dime linebacker. Bring on the bad movie superfan bet. Hashtag Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, I guess him and Patrick are going to have a wager on there because the Steelers and the Patriots Week 1 Sunday Night Football.
When you look,
I'm curious.
When you look at the AFC, do you look at yourselves as in the Patriots, the Chiefs, and the Steelers as being the three best teams? Is that how it works for you?
I see us as the Patriots and the Chiefs and everybody else. I think the Steelers want to be there. I just don't think they can be there. I mean, until Pittsburgh actually punches the Patriots in the mouth, they've got a long way to go. And I think the Chiefs proved last year they can punch everybody in the mouth. And while they may not be able to stop you from punching them back, they're going to punch you more times than you are.
I always think of the Steelers a bit like, when Robert Kraft was in that massage parlor. It was that woman was probably a Steelers fan.
James, what did Trey have to say about the Carolina Panthers?
Oh, God. So the deep roster guy you don't want to see cut because he's going to be a contributor on another team. I'm going to butcher this name. Efe Obada.
That's how I would have said it.
Some of you know, if you watch All or Nothing, would recognize it's the first international player out of the NFL's International Development Program to make it to the NFL. Last year, Efe made a splash early in the season, but has not been able to find consistent playing time. I love to see what he can do, give him more chances, and I love his story, so hopefully he finds a way to make the team. Biggest question for going into the 2019 season, two biggest questions was going to be the play of the other safety position and who the defense would be able to carry over, if they would be able to carry over the success it had at the end of last season. Since then, the team has signed Trey Boston, so at least I have the answers to one of them. Did we find the answer? We really not shown well in the first three preseason games, which to me speaks more of a lack of depth on this team. In general, I believe that, he's been pretty disappointed in what he's seen in all three games. But as we all know, these games don't mean squat, so we'll have to wait and see what happens September 8th.
Well, I think it's important to know if your team's got depth or not. If your team doesn't have any depth and you're relying solely on those frontline starters, we know injuries happen just like that. Mm-hmm. Just ask Andrew Luck.
Not to mention you need a rotation at certain positions to keep guys fresh.
Also true. By the way, I could also say the same thing about just ask Alex Smith. Also a 7 o'clock. Also a 7 o'clock kickoff at TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville. The Atlanta Falcons at the Jacksonville Jaguars. James, I'm going to stick with you on this one. What did MJ write?
Well, MJ writes, Marcus Green is a deep cut guy. He's a wide receiver and special teams guy that won't get a lot of playing time, but he's fast and he's crafty. I know he'll be an asset to the Falcons, and if used properly by someone else in the NFC South, could be to our detriment. Making sure we are solid with defense and that there's quality depth in case of injuries is his big question going into the season. His answer as far as whether they answer that or not is yes and no, actually. With Quinn taking over the defense, I know we'll be solid on defense. The rotations will work and the team will make stops, but we have yet to shore the quality depth behind Keanu Neal and Deion Jones. But he's confident that Quinn will be able to get the most out of the defense when Neal and Jones are not on the field.
And I would agree. That's probably Atlanta's biggest question. We know that Matt Ryan can be pretty good, even MVP of this league, if he's got the time to pass the ball. Their offensive line certainly has questions, and they drafted 2 rookies. We talked a little bit about that last week. But I think it's Atlanta's defense that's going to make a difference as to whether they can be a playoff / Super Bowl contender come the end of the season.
Yeah, definitely a mosh pit of bodies through the IR unit last year for the Falcons defense.
From the NFL.com on the Jacksonville Jaguars, the biggest question for Jacksonville is their defense, which has finished 6th or better in each of the last 3 seasons. It's strong. New quarterback Nick Foles will be key to evaluating the offense, as will running back Leonard Fournette, mounting a bounce-back comeback campaign. So far in the preseason, though, from the stats that I've looked up in preseason stats, and yes, if preseason games are meaningless, preseason stats are even more meaningless. But at the same time, they finished middle of the pack in terms of yards per game, bottom 5 in points per game. And I have said this time and time again, there was more problems with Jacksonville last season than just the quarterback. And I think some of it is on the defense, whether it's the defense thinks they're better than they actually are because they read their press clippings, or, perhaps the press has overhyped them. I don't know, but that's sort of where I've got my eyeballs in Jacksonville, Neil.
Well, Jay, I was just saying, I've got to say something here. Their first round draft choice this year was Josh Allen, the other Josh Allen, who might become the Josh Allen in time. And like you say, preseason doesn't mean a great deal, but I think when we watch our teams, don't we all kind of think to ourselves, yeah, let's see our first round, second round picks and see how they look. Let's kind of make sure they look like football players. It's a really exciting thing to see in preseason, and I think Jacksonville fans will be delighted with Josh Allen.